Very long time ago, in a village called Arunton, there lived a little healer, very powerful, with magical hands, called Ofe. Ofe was so powerful that there was no sickness that she could not handle. There was no disease that would not bow at her sight. There was no pains. There was no infirmity. There was no agony that people were going through that Ofe do not have solution to. This little girl was so powerful to the extent that people from far and near, neighboring villages, began to troop in and out of Arunton. And because of this little girl that became a gift to Arunton village, Arunton soon became a tourist center. Even those people that were not sick, they just want to go and see who this little girl is. People were trooping in and out. Commercial activities at Arunton began to expand and increase. People were relocating from their own cities, from their towns and villages to come and reside in Arunton, since they knew that the solution to their health challenges are readily available at Arunton. Because of this, even the king of the village became overprotective of Ofe, to the extent that he offers her a space to live in the palace, gave her bodyguards that followed her wherever she goes to ensure that nothing negative would happen to her. Because of this great gift that Ofe has, the village of Arunton began to see the light, even though it was in a very narrow path in a riverine area. It soon became a place of light. It soon became a place where everybody wants to go to. And because of that, Arunton came to the map, to the landline, because of a little girl called Ofe. These powers that were bestowed on Ofe, she is not allowed to charge anyone for healing. She is not allowed to collect money for treatment, but yet she does it with all joy because she has a good heart. So she doesn't collect any charges for treatment, but then the people, they come willingly with gifts to her. So she has a lot of gifts from different people that just even want to see who she is, who she was. They just want to come and see with their eyes whom this little girl really was. They came from far and near with gifts to offer to this little girl. She soon became like gods in the eyes of the people. She soon became like gods in the community. She soon became like answers to every question that has to do with health challenges. And the question was, how did she came about these powers? How could a little girl like Ofe be so empowered by nature that even old men and women are willing to bow to her? This is a mystery, and this mystery is what we are about to unfold right now. So, Ofe, a little girl of about 10 years old, lived with her grandma, as she would call her grandmother. The grandma has been responsible for all of Ofe's needs since Ofe lost her mother at, at childbirth. The mother of Ofe died trying to give birth to her. So it was her grandmother that took care of her, and the grandmother brought her up in a very humble and noble way. Ofe, as she is always called, means gift in our language translation, gift. The grandmother ensures that Ofe goes to school and every of Ofe's educational needs are being met. Though she's not a rich woman, she's just living an average life, making sure that her grandchild would be able to have a good future. Since the mother of Ofe was the only child that she had, now that she is no more, she sees Ofe as a replacement of her daughter, and therefore she doesn't joke with anything that has to do with Ofe. As Ofe will be going to school, the grandma makes sure that she prepares Ofe for school, make lunch for Ofe to take along that she would use during the break period in school, make sure that everything she would need in school is being provided. She was actually being pampered by her grandma. So one day, one fateful day, as Ofe was on her way to school on the narrow village path that leads to her school, she suddenly saw a strange old woman sitting by the side of the path. She was scared. She was curious. She was afraid, but then she took boldness and tried to walk past, and at the same time she greeted the old woman, and the old woman responded to her, "My child, my daughter, how are you?" Ofe told her, "I'm fine." And as Ofe was about leaving, the old woman beckoned to her and asked her for help. And she said to Ofe, "Can you give an helpless old woman like me something to eat?" And Ofe looked at her and said to her, "The only food I have with me is what my grandma gave to me to eat in school, and that is the only lunch I have with me." And after explaining that to the old woman, she turned to leave. As she was about to leave, something in her urged her to give something to this strange old woman. And she came back and gave her lunch to the woman. And the woman took the lunch from Ofe. She did eat and said thank you to Ofe. Ofe left for school. So at this time, of course, Ofe's cooler was empty. There was nothing for Ofe to use for her lunch in school. She wasn't having money to buy anything extra, so she actually sacrificed her lunch for a stranger she has never seen or met before. It was a mystery to her whom this woman actually was, because it was her first time seeing that woman on that path. But after that day, she kept seeing the woman every day, and every day she came across this woman, she makes sure that even before the woman would ask for help, she would have given to her. So she became a friend to the strange old woman. Every morning, this was Ofe's ways. Once she comes close to the lady, she'll say to her, I brought you food, ma. The woman will be so excited. Oh, my child, you are a good child. Your heart, you have a good heart. Thank you very much. She would give the food to the woman and run to school. She continued in this for a very long time. It went to the extent she started bringing dinner for this strange woman. The reason she wasn't bringing lunch was because she would be in school as at that time. But dinner, once dinner is ready, she tells the grandma she has a friend she has to give food to. And because the grandma loves her so much, she doesn't say no to anything that will make Ofe happy. She saw that Ofe was so excited going to give food to this stranger, to this friend of ours, even though the grandma does not know the friend, but she makes sure that Ofe gets what she wants. So Ofe started taking dinner to this strange old beggar. So one day, after a very long time of friendship, something terrifying happened to Ofe. Something fearful happened to Ofe. Ofe's grandma became very sick, and Ofe's grandma happens to be the only relative known to Ofe. So she was so troubled. Ofe was so worried. She does not know what to do. They took the grandma for treatment, went to different herbalists within the Arunton village, but there was no help. They took the grandma out of Arunton village to other nearby villages so that other herbalists could attend to her, and still there was no help. Drained, tired, weak, devastated, frustrated was the right word to describe the state of Ofe as at this time. And of course, they had to return back to Arunto without any solution. As at this time, for over 2 weeks, this stranger has not been seeing Ofe. But because of how pure Ofe's heart was, after returning to Arunton with the grandma, one day she just left the grandma for some few minutes to check if she would find the stranger. So she ran to the part where she normally look for meet with the stranger, and she found out that the stranger was there, and she ran towards the stranger. The strange woman saw her and she was so excited. But when Ofe drew close to her, she saw how sad this little girl was, how heartbroken Ofe was. And she looked at Ofe and asked her, "What troubled you, my child?" And Ofe began to cry. She burst into tears uncontrollably, and she began to explain all she's been through because of her grandma. And she was crying, explaining to this stranger, "She is the only one I have. My grandma is the only person I know. I have no father. I have no mother. She is the only one I have. And now she is about to die. I am helpless. There is no cure for her sickness. Nobody could help us. I have been so frustrated. I have no one as at this time to run to." And the stranger looked at Ofe and said to her, "My child, your grandma won't die." And Ofe said, "How? We've taken her everywhere. Herbalists in this village, nobody could do anything. We've taken her outside the village, nobody could do anything. And of course, we don't have money to seek the help of the English doctor. So we've brought her home just for her to die. I came out here just to check if I would see you." since it's been long, and I don't know if you've been able to get any other help, if anybody has been taking care of you. So I just said, let me check on you. And the old woman said, you see why I said you have a heart of gold. Your grandma is not going to die. And she said, follow me. I'm going to unveil to you a mystery that you've never known about nature. Today, I'm going to open your eyes to see beyond what the ordinary human could see. Today, I'm going to tell you who exactly I am. And Ofe said, okay. So Ofe followed her as she took Ofe into the forest, and they walked in. And as they began to move, she began to open Ofe's eyes, and Ofe could see that trees have eyes, trees have head, trees have ear, trees have mouth, and that trees could actually communicate. The trees were communicating, they were talking. She could see them, she could hear them. Some were waving at her. She was so surprised, she was afraid. And she said, the old woman said to her, my child, don't be afraid. The only person that has this access are those people that have been chosen. I came out so that I can choose someone to empower in this village, and I found you. You are the chosen one. You have been chosen. Today, I will give you power over all the herbs in the forest. Every tree will bow to you. Every leaf will bow to you. Every tree will assist you. Anything you want, when you speak to them, they will give you direction. As from today, you will no longer be ordinary. And Ofe began to look at her. She said to Ofe, stretch out your hands towards me. And Ofe did. She dropped the cowries on Ofe's hand. The cowries, the moment it landed on Ofe's palms, the cowries disappeared, and power entered into the little girl. She began to see clearly and hear clearly, and she began to speak the language of plants. They could hear her. Plants began to bow to her, and they began to communicate with her. And Ofe said to the old strange woman, please, who are you? And the woman said to her, I am the queen of herbs. I am the queen of the forest. I control every plant in nature. I am mother to the forest. And after saying these few words to Ofe, she disappeared. Ofe was afraid. The moment this strange woman disappeared, she disappeared into one of the trees. And Ofe was scared, left alone in the forest. She couldn't even find her way. She was looking, where do I go? How do I come out of this place? And before you know it, even the trees began to guide her. The plants began to show her the way, and she was led out of the forest with the cure for her grandmother's sickness. And the moment she got home, administered the treatment, the mother became strong instantly. And before you knew it, the story of Ofe's power began to spread far and near. Everybody, no sickness that came across Ofe that would not bow. Ofe spends most of her time in the forest because she found friendship in the forest. When she goes into the forest, the leaves bow to her. They welcome her with a wave. They communicate with her. They ask her what brought her. She can tell them the reason she's there, and they begin to give her direction to where she will get the treatment she's looking for, what leaves she should combine to find solution to the problems. And Ofe became extremely powerful. But the only condition for this power is that she mustn't place a price on any treatment, because freely she has been given, freely she must give. And so she doesn't place any price. It became a selfless duty that she was being committed to. She was committed to this selfless duty of saving lives of her people, and even of all those that cares to come to her. And soon their life changed. They became very wealthy. The gift of nature to Ofe changed the grandma's story, changed Ofe's story. Ofe's status changed. She began to live. She began to live even with the king in the palace, being guided like a princess. One more thing, she doesn't do treatment every day. She spends almost half of the week in the forest, and it is only when she comes out of the forest that she can begin to attend to people. But even before she would come out, people are already gathered and waiting for her. People are being given numbers as to how she would attend to them. And one interesting thing is that she never gets tired. She can walk from morning till the midnight, into the middle of the night, and she is still curing people. Wow. What a gift Ofe actually was to Arunton's village. The village of Arunton has now become a city, because everything that makes a village, a town, to be addressed as a village can now be found in the village of Arunton. Arunton is no longer a village. It has become a city, just because of the magical hands of a little girl called Ofe. This is the end of my story. It pays to be good. You agree with me? Sometimes the little sacrifice you make can give a very great result that you are never expecting. And sometimes it is good that you give without having expectations. Don't think that as I do this good, somebody is going, because I'm doing it to get this. Don't place a price on your kindness. Just be kind because you are a kind-hearted person. Because this was what changed the story of Ofe and the story of Arunton's village, just because of one kind-hearted little girl. Bye. I'll see you in my next video. Please do well to subscribe to our channel if you love our tales. Do well to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in our next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and also do not forget to recommend our channel to other people. Bye.